Our painting for today is called Wonder and is from the entry, Making Room for Wonder. As you fix your gaze on the painting, let's begin with a few deep breaths. Go ahead and inhale through your nose. Hold at the top and exhale. Again, in through your nose. Hold at the top and exhale. Let your body and mind slow down as you continue to breathe deeply, and let your eyes wander through the painting. Notice what's the first thing that catches your eye. Fix your gaze there and sit with it for a moment. What thoughts or feelings does this painting evoke? Become aware of God's loving presence towards you right now. Is there something He wants you to see or to hear? This painting is a representation of Luke 2:15 through 20, which says, "When the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, 'Let's go to Bethlehem and see this thing that has happened, which the Lord has told us about.' So they hurried off and found Mary and Joseph and the baby who was lying in the manger. When they had seen him, they spread the word concerning what had been told them about this child. And all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds had said to them. But Mary treasured up all these things and pondered them in her heart. The shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all the things they had heard and seen, which were just as they had been told." Here we see Mary, Joseph, the shepherds, and animals all gathered around Christ, the center focal point of this work. I had my son Isaiah, age 4 at the time, model the little shepherd boy peering in to look at Jesus. My boys constantly challenged me to stop and behold the world anew. And perhaps they, like the shepherds, can help us see the world through the eyes of a child, illuminating everyday moments. In this scene, the light of Christ's glory radiates from His tiny body onto the shepherds, Mary, and Joseph, and even the animals, illuminated by His warm glow. These parties are all transfixed with amazement. They lean in to see and behold the presence of God in the flesh. The shepherds who ran to see Jesus must have felt so seen, known, and loved by God in that moment. When they had felt likely isolated from the things of God because of their duties that made them unclean and unable to worship in the temple, here Christ removes the barriers and makes himself completely accessible to them. Here, in a manger, nothing stands between them and Jesus, and they can behold him without restraint. When the shepherds say, "Let's see this thing that has happened," the Greek word for see here is oraho, instead of the more common word for see, blepo. Jesus distinguished these two words later in his life when he references Isaiah 6:9 in that mysterious verse which says, "They may be ever seeing, blepo, but never perceiving, orao." Mark 4:12. Blepo is to see with the physical eyes, to see things at face value. But blepo does not necessarily involve the mind or heart. In contrast, orao is to see with the mind, to perceive, to know. It is to see the meaning of something more deeply than what is on the outside. It involves spiritual perception. We know this difference, don't we? It's the difference between seeing a newborn and beholding the miracle of life. It's the difference between seeing the silhouettes of trees on the snow and being so captivated by the stillness of them that we hold our breath. It's the difference between seeing the face of our loved ones and perceiving the divine within them. And this orao way of seeing is what leads us to wonder and astonishment. On the surface, the scene the shepherds came upon in the manger was anything but wonderful. To the physical eyes, it was a lowly place filled with lowly people. Likely a cave hollowed out in someone's backyard filled with a few animals. Joseph, the ordinary carpenter, Mary, an ordinary mother from Nazareth, and their newborn son in a feeding trough. But as we all know, at this moment, the extraordinary radiates beneath the ordinary. It's the light of the world illuminating darkness. It is the God who formed us from dust, taking on the dust of our flesh. It is heaven's glory filling a small, simple manger. The shepherds perceive what is happening here, and they are filled with so much wonder they cannot keep it to themselves. They must share the story. And all who heard it were, as the New Living Translation puts it, astonished, including Mary with them, who treasured up all these things and pondered them in her heart. The wonder of the shepherds also leads them to worship. They returned to the fields, glorifying and praising God for all the things they had heard and seen. At that time, worship was often confined to the temple. But God bursts out of the walls of religious expectations to commune with those on the margins. This notion led the shepherds to awe-filled praise. The word for astonishment in verse 18 is translated by Blue Letter Bible as to wonder at, to admire, to marvel. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you were so filled with wonder you couldn't keep it to yourself? When was the last time you were so bewildered by God you couldn't stop praising him? Sometimes the Christmas story can feel rote to those of us who have heard it again and again. Over time, we can fail to perceive it in a way that leaves us astonished. Brian Zond writes about this in his book, Beauty Will Save the World. He says, quote, "We have removed astonishment from the gospel. We have replaced astonishment with something a bit tamer. We have made the gospel reasonable, sensible, and practical. Evangelism takes on the tone of a multi-level marketing presentation. Some buy it, some don't, but not many are astonished." End quote. When I become numb by what I think I know about God, I need to be recaptivated by the astonishment of the incarnation. And the shepherds help me get there. Like them, I want to become so captivated by God that I can't help but share in ways that lead others to marvel too. I want my heart to be so filled with awe that I'm led to worship. Astonishment begets astonishment. But it starts with us and the way we see. We must learn how to see beyond our physical eyes and perceive with eyes wide to wonder. Only then will we truly see. God comes into the world in astonishing ways. We make room for Him by perceiving the world with wonder. Ponder for a moment. When was the last time you were filled with wonder about God? How can you share that story with others? And what might it look like for you to make more room for wonder this Advent? Let's close with our breath prayer. Inhale, you fill the world with wonder. And exhale, may I perceive you everywhere. Go ahead, inhale, you fill the world with wonder. Exhale, may I perceive you everywhere. Inhale, you fill the world with wonder. Exhale, may I perceive you everywhere. Amen.